We are live. Thanks everyone for being here on the Solar Objections live action roleplay. I am Solar Joe. And this week we have super experienced solar pro Ray Satterfield, who's been before solar in real estate and timeshare for 35 years. In the last 11 or 12 years has been a solar professional. He's also a previous radio host on K102 as Ray Thomas, but now he's the president of Green Futures Energy, and he is a wealth of solar information. Thanks, Ray, so much for being here.
Thank you, Joe, for inviting me. It's great to be on your show and being part of the Solar Pro experience.
Awesome, man. Hey, so everybody watching, we're going to be doing backup power, which is big in the news right now. So if you have any questions or objections you want Ray to handle, please put it in the comments and we'll try to get to it either during the role play or after. So today I'll be playing the role of the homeowner who's just worried about backup power, and Ray will be playing the role of the solar pro. So let's get started. Hey, Ray, I know that I got information. I saw an ad and I just really curious about getting backup power. What's the best way to make sure I have backup power if power goes out?
Well, you know what? That's a great question, Joe, especially what just happened in Texas. It's really driving the point home for people how important that is. Over the past, decade or so, people have been, focusing on installing solar and creating the savings that they have through creating their own solar energy, owning their electricity. But when the grid goes down, in every state, they require an emergency shutoff, and it shuts off that solar system. So that's why solar battery backup is so important. And when we go over your quote, what I'm going to do, let me ask you this: is savings more important to you, or is having a peace of mind of knowing that you have an uninterrupted power supply? What's most important to you?
Yeah, well, the ad got me with the backup power because I saw what happened in Texas, and I live in California, so I'm worried about backup power. If that's something I can help with, that's what I'm really concerned with.
Perfect. So when we go over your quote during our energy analysis presentation that's coming up that we scheduled, I'm going to go over, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the savings that the solar system can provide for you by eliminating your cost of electricity, by making your electricity yourself. And then we're going to take a look at, since you want backup power that's important to you, for a little bit more, you can have that peace of mind knowing that you have an uninterrupted power supply. So we'll go over that, and I'll show you the difference so you can see whether or not that makes sense to you and whether or not the value of having that peace of mind is important once you see whether it makes financial sense for you. Does that make sense?
Wait, so you're saying it's two different things. I thought solar came with backup power. Isn't that what I'm doing here, or what is it you mean?
Well, actually, what happens with the solar system is you have a bidirectional meter with the electric company, runs forwards and backwards, and during the day you're producing more electricity than you're consuming, and you export that to the grid. And then they utilize that, and your meter runs backwards, and you get credits for that. Then at night or on cloudy days, those credits, the meter's going to run forward and you take those credits back. So typically the cost of having a battery backup is an option because some people never lose power. So for them, it doesn't make sense to have to pay for something that they don't need. And that's why I wanted to ask you whether or not it's more important for savings or it's more important to have that peace of mind. Now, personally, what I'm finding is that more and more people find that peace of mind is more important. They want to make sure that they have that independent powered home.
No, so it sounds like I want a smart battery, it sounds like. But what's the best smart battery out there to get?
Well, all of the batteries are designed to do the same thing. right? To be able to store. They have different capacities, they have different size, they have different ways that they connect to the equipment. Now, as a solar broker, I'm able to offer all of the latest technologies, the cutting edge technology. So what I'm going to do is take the information that I have from your utility bill. We're going to design a system. Our engineers are going to design a system based on what your needs are to offset your consumption. And then we're going to discuss that. That's why we need to meet for about an hour to go over that energy analysis, is so that you can choose what you feel is the best choice for you. I'll make a recommendation for you. We'll look at the various different batteries and we'll see what the differences are. And then you can choose what you feel is going to meet your objective.
So I know I heard about backup power with generators too. What's the difference from like a smart battery and a generator?
Well, interestingly enough, the generator companies like Generac, for example, is now creating a generator that works with solar. So they even see the need for that. And the reason why they found that need is because what Texans found recently is even though you have a generator, what does the generator run on?
Gas, fuel.
Gas. And guess what froze up and didn't work?
Gas lines?
Gas lines, natural gas lines were frozen. That's why people didn't have power. That's why the grid went down. So the same is true. Gas pumps run on electricity.
Okay.
So if you can't run a gas pump because the electricity doesn't work, how are you going to fill up your generator with fuel? All you need for a solar battery is for the sun to come up. Now, I do have to tell you, Joe, this is just, full transparency, disclosure. There's only about 1 billion years left on the warranty of the sun.
That's it.
That's it. So get it while you can.
I hear you. You know what? It all sounds good, like backup power and having it when the grid is down and emergencies. But how do I know actually the system's actually going to do what you promise?
Well, that's a great question. And when we go over your energy analysis report, we're going to look at the specific parameters, the data, how your system produces, why it produces that, the efficiency of the system, the efficiency of the panels, and why we're making the recommendation that we're making for your system. And there in that contract, we're going to put down how much your system is going to produce. That's the beauty of solar, is that with your utility bill, you never know if it's right, do you?
True.
You don't even know how to figure it out. They put so many different numbers in there. They manipulate the billing cycles.
Just pay the bill.
You never have an idea. The rates go up. You don't know what you're paying. You never know what it's going to be until it gets there. And that's the beauty of the solar system. You're going to know exactly how much your electricity is going to cost you for the next 25 years, period. And then at any time along that way, if you decide you don't want to pay anymore for the electricity, you can prepay the system and now you don't have any cost. No cost for solar, no cost for electricity. You've paid it off. Try to call up the utility company and tell them you'd like to pay it off today and see what they tell you.
They'll be like, who you got me calling?
Are you crazy? Are you crazy?
But Ray, come on, man. Nothing is free. So what does it cost? Tell me, just give me the brass tacks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Of course, nothing is free except the sun is free. So really what you're paying for is not the electricity or the sun. What you're paying for is the equipment to make your electricity. And the reason why it makes more sense is because if you look at your bill, you'll see there's a fuel cost and you'll see there's an electric charge. The biggest cost that you're paying is to have that electricity delivered to you. You're paying for the transformers, the lines, the cables, the workers, the substations, the peaker plants, all of those things, the fuel that they make it. You're paying for all of that to get it delivered to your house. It's kind of like if you ordered something on Amazon for $20 and they charged you $100 to deliver it. Would you continue to get stuff from Amazon?
No, I'll be going. What's the next place to get my stuff?
That's right. So one thing you can be certain is that we're going to discuss the options that you have. That's why we're going to go over your energy analysis to come up with a final quote based on the choices that you make as we go through your system and make sure that what I've recommended, what our engineers have recommended, achieves the objectives that you're looking for.
I just want to make sure, I don't have money for an investment, and I feel like this is just going to be too expensive.
Yeah, you're right. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
All right, thanks.
No, most people think that is, and that's because you're accustomed to paying your electric bill per month, right? You don't figure how much it's going to cost you over time. And if you actually look at how much your electric is costing you over time and how much you've paid electricity in your life so far, you're going to realize that solar is a lot less expensive. Because why? You're making it on your roof. You're sending it down to your home. Now, the other thing is that solar is an asset. It adds value to your home, and I'll demonstrate that for you and show you the proof of that when we go through the analysis. But the good news is because so many people are going solar, it's become so popular. We're in the evolution of energy. It's the change. We're going through that transition from, just like we went from the automobile, from the horse and carriage to the automobile, from the kerosene lamp to the electric light bulb. We're going from the fossil fuels to the sun, to the original source of where that energy comes from. And so that's why it's cheaper. You're just getting the equipment to make the energy on your roof and ship it into your house. Once it's paid for, then it's free because you don't have to pay any more for it. I had a minister one time. I asked him, I said, I thought that the waters of life were free. He goes, yeah, but the plumbing costs.
That's actually funny. And it also brings me up, it makes me worried about the installation on the roof, leaks and stuff like that. I'm worried about having damage, on my roof.
Well, of course, the warranty covers that. And this is one reason why it's important. There's all kinds of people. I mean, you can go down to Home Depot and find a crew that can come try to nail something on your roof. Having a professional installation crew that's been vetted, that has a history of doing a good job is one of the most important things that we bring to that triple crown of solar is workmanship, the components and the warranties that we can put together for you. But what's interesting is usually people are worried about damage to the roof. They're talking about penetrations. Is that what you're thinking about, the penetration?
Yeah, leaks. I don't want any leaks or anything.
Right. And yet do you have shingles on your roof?
Yeah.
So you have 10,000 penetrations from little nails already in your roof. 10,000.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that, but yeah, that's true.
That's right. And when we do solar, it's not like they put a whole bunch of them in there. It's like they're spaced out. And it's like a lug bolt that goes down into the truss and anchors into the truss. It's all flashed so that it won't leak. And then a railing system is attached to that. And then the panels are attached to the railing system. And what's really great about solar is that rather than damaging your roof, the thing that really does damage your roof is what? Weather. So now the panels are protecting your roof. So it actually has the effect of extending the life of your roof rather than damaging it. Look at it as protecting your roof.
I didn't even think about it like that, but yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. But I know you're not the only one with this backup power. I just saw it seemed too cheap. I got a quote from Tesla with a power wall, and it seemed really cheap. Is that something I should consider?
Well, I could just tell you this, Joe, that whenever I hear the word cheap, I don't really like that word. So, but I don't know that. What price did you see?
I don't remember exactly, but I just remember it was way cheaper than the other quote I got for the same system, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I've sold them, and I can sell them to you now, and I make money if I sell you a power wall. So I can sell you a power wall. They're $16,000 installed for the first battery. So most batteries of that similar capacity are going to be similar priced. So that again is going to be something that's important when we go over your energy analysis. Is we'll go into more depth and detail about which batteries would work best with your system and why. And then I'll give you all those details because then you'll actually be looking at the specs. But what I would caution you on is that you probably already figured this out. When you just mention solar online, you get all of these people reaching out to you. And they're trying to sell you this and sell you that. And many times they'll lowball you on things, or they'll leave things out that are not in, that you have to pay extra for. There's a lot of misinformation, unfortunately, in the world of solar, as well as everything. So I promise you that when we finish with your consultation, you're going to know exactly what it is. You're going to know whether it's the best thing for you or not, and you're going to understand why that value is worth it. And if you don't feel it's that way, I'm going to shake your hand and wish you have a wonderful life. We'll get you to be a solar ambassador and refer other people. But we'll give you the opportunity to be able to take a look at all of those things. And I promise I will answer those questions, and you'll be able to choose. If you feel that Tesla Powerwall is the best thing for you, then you can make that choice. It's up to you.
It sounds good, but I just don't feel like going through the whole process. You kind of know my situation now. Can you just email me the quote?
Well, because we can't finalize the quote until we go over the specific preferences that you have. Right, like the battery, like which battery, whether battery is more important or savings is more important or peace of mind is more important. Since we can offer you a variety of different solar panels, we want to discuss that and the efficiencies and the performance and the warranties and production they come with. I want to go over the roof warranty so that you feel comfortable and confident in moving forward with solar, so that you'll know what basically all the fine print. I want to go over all that with you. And then the choices that you make are just going to determine what the final quote will be. But I promise you this, if I can't show you how to do it with no money out of your pocket, not a penny, you don't have to give me any money. I don't have solar panels in my pocket, so I'm not bringing them with me. All right. So, and you don't start paying for solar until after it's installed. And if I can't show you that it's less than what you're paying for electricity now, and that it saves you money, then I want you to tell me no. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
I think that sounds good. Only thing is, okay, fine. I'll meet up with you, but I just don't have time right now. I'm just going to wait until this later, though, okay?
Okay, so I can tell you one thing is certain. Your bill is going to come in, and you're going to pay it. So it doesn't cost anything to look. 45 to 60 minutes to be able to see whether it makes sense or not. And then you won't have to sit around reading articles and wondering whether Tesla Powerwall is a good deal, or whether it's cheaper for this, or whether you need battery storage. You'll have all of those questions answered, and you'll be armed with the information that you need to move when you're ready. I'm not going to ask you to buy solar. I'm not trying to sell you electricity. You already have to buy electricity. And I really don't try to sell people solar. What I do is I help people who want it, and get it right.
That sounds fair. So what are the next steps?
Well, when are you usually 45 to 60 minutes for you and are you married? Do you have a spouse or a partner?
Just me.
Just you? All right, cool. So, what are you usually available on the weekdays or the weekends? What's better for you? It's about
man, I'm busy during the week. Weekends are better for me.
Weekend, Saturday or Sunday? Does it matter?
Saturdays. Yeah, that's good.
Saturday. You like to sleep in, or
yeah, that's my day to sleep in. So nothing earlier than 11 a.m. I'll tell you that.
All right. So how about noon? About noon?
No, I think I could do noon.
We'll have coffee and lunch together or whatever. We could do it on Zoom, or we could do it in person, depending, because of COVID. Which would you prefer, in person or online?
It doesn't matter to me. You can come over, man. It's cool.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to send you an email. I have your email here. I'm going to send you an email confirmation of our appointment on Saturday at noon, and we'll get together. We'll have some fun. You can ask me your questions, and I promise you'll have every answer.
And close. Great job, Ray. That was a lot of fun, man. Is this kind of the questions you get with the backup? Is this kind of normal for you? These kind of question answers?
Yeah, I had one guy tell me that he could create electricity with hydrochloric acid, a Pepsi bottle, and some copper wire. So I asked him, I said, so have you done that? And he goes, no. I said, well, we can put solar panels on your house tomorrow.
There you go.
While you're working on that little chemistry project in your garage.
Oh, man. So everybody watching right now, if you liked what Ray was doing and answering and saying, comment heart right now. This is the time to do it. We have a bunch of comments in right now before we get to the next segment. First comment is, well, we're not gonna see all the names of the users because they have to allow us to use their names. So if they don't allow us, we don't get to show it. But battery backup is for peace of mind. One said, after you said 1 billion years, they said 5 billion years.
You're right. It is 5 billion. Oh my God, they got a better warranty now.
Next comment, great info. Next comment, killing it. Next one's long. Solar with battery backup gives you the ability to have electricity when the power goes out. You can keep the lights on when everyone else is in the dark and waiting for the utility company to fix the power lines.
Yeah, I had a fellow that was only getting a 9 kilowatt system, but he wanted 4 power walls. And I was trying to really tell him that, he really didn't need all that. It was just him and his wife. And he says, no, I want to make sure that I can use everything. I said, I understand. And he was concerned about the zombie apocalypse happening.
Some people are.
He was legit worried about it. And so I told him, I said, Lenny, just so you know, I just full, transparency here. If there is a zombie apocalypse, you might not want to be the only house in the neighborhood with your lights on.
You should actually the other way around, right?
That's right.
That's hilarious. Next comment, solar extends the life of the roof. Love it. Hello, I got a fan. I love Ray. He's awesome.
All right. Send pictures.
You got more fans. This guy is so good.
Oh, gosh.
You got more. Damn.
Come on. Are you putting all these in there?
No, these are legitimate comments, man. You're doing your thing, man. I really appreciate you being on here. You guys are good gold nuggets. And we're not done yet. You got one. Damn, Ray's a fucking legit. Where do I sign? I bet he closes everybody. Yeah, he probably does. Ray's the man. Thank you so much, Ray. Thank you, Joe.
So I see a question on there where it say panels are frozen. I don't know what they mean by that.
Yeah, so expand on that question. I'm not sure who the user is, but panels are frozen in Texas. How do I reopen? So yeah, expand on your question so we can answer that for you. Ray wants to know. And then the last comment so far is invest in blinds for the apocalypse. Oh, zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse.
So as we wait for more comments to come in, would you mind doing just a quick segment where I ask you a couple of questions?
Sure, absolutely.
Let's do this. Solar Pro Q&A. So guys, go ahead, put your comments in or questions, likes, hearts, whatever you got to do. This is the time to do it. I'm going to ask Ray a couple of questions. He's super experienced and he was in different fields before. So my first question is going to be your experience you were in real estate, timeshare, you were a radio host. How was the transition going into the solar industry from that?
Well, I've used the techniques that I've learned in sales all my life. I'm 62 now, and I started selling really when I was 14. It was a telesales job trying to save a newspaper in Fort Worth, Texas. We were calling up begging people to subscribe and they would let anybody work. So that was my first job. And so I've been in sales and I was helping people start businesses, doing launches of businesses while I was in real estate. And I was approached by a local commercial installer here in Florida that about 10 years ago that wanted to know how to start a residential sales division. I didn't know anything about solar, so I did a feasibility study. I studied. I looked at the industry. I went back to him and I said, well, the good news is if you want to sell it legitimately and ethically and be upfront with people and do a good deal, you've got no competition because everybody out there's lying, cheating, and stealing. Solar was not good, was not favorable in Florida at that time, but it did pique my interest. And I have 7 kids and 5 grandchildren that I've raised my kids, and they're all grown now. I started realizing when I did that study the reality of the climate and what we're facing with the environment. And I think even if people want to disagree about who's causing this or what the result is, it doesn't matter. We are the ones that have to do something about it. It is happening, so we got to do something about it. We have to fix it, no matter how it got that way. And then the other thing that I realize is that we all want a clean environment. Everybody wants a healthy environment. And oil and gas and coal are not healthy. They're not healthy for our kids. And I felt like it's my generation that was responsible for the dependency on fossil fuels. And so I feel that I'm responsible for trying to create a better quality of life for my children and grandchildren and everybody else's children in the world in the future. That we have to, that it's my responsibility to do something. And this is something that I can do and help people and save them money and help this transition. Like I said, this is just like going from the horse and carriage to the automobile. I'm sure at that transition, there were people that were selling carriages and horses, and they said, this will never work, this automobile. How are you going to go across the country? How are you going to get across the river? How are you going to get across the mountain? You can't carry enough fuel to go all the way to California. How are you going to do that? It'll never work. And now today, how many horse and carriages do you see on I-10? They're not out there. They're not on the highways. And so the same thing is true with energy. We have to, as a civilization, we need more energy. We need more efficient source of energy. And that's the sun. So, the utilities are converting to solar. Right now in Houston, Texas, for example, they have wind, which we've now learned, right, that is actually powering some of their facilities there. So they're switching to solar. So it is a transition that's happening everywhere. And I think it's very exciting for us to be a part of that transition. We are the pioneers in this new industry that someday people will look back on, and like we do electricity today, and just take it for granted.
And you never have to retire.
One of my daughters, Amanda, asked me the other day, she said, "Aren't you retired?" And I said, "No, they did away with that."
Well, it's good that you're not worried about retiring, because this is fun, right? Like this is an old age.
I don't know what I would do otherwise. I enjoy this. It's something I really take great pleasure from, and it's fun getting in. And it's tough when you have people that don't move forward, especially when they should. But every person that you help loves you, and I love them, and they become a part of my greater family. The longest presentation in solar I ever had was 11 hours. It took 45 minutes to sell them solar, and the rest of the time we were taking shots of tequila and eating food. So that's what happens when you sell a Hispanic family. You're going to eat. You're going to stay there and you're going to eat, buddy. That's what you're not leaving until you eat.
Good food too.
It was that way in West Virginia. I'm from Virginia, Texas, and Florida. But in West Virginia, which by the way is different than Virginia, but in West Virginia, it used to be back in the day, they tell you if you got caught in their yard, they would pull out their gun and force you to dinner. So you're gonna eat.
Hey, so I got questions for you, but there's a bunch of questions in the comments, so I'm gonna go with that. The first one was going back to the ice thing. They clarified that there was ice covering the panels because of the cold, and they were concerned about that. And I'm not an engineer, but I would imagine, because some of the studies that I've read, that, for example, raindrops work as a magnifying glass, and it's photons that actually create electricity. So I would think that ice, unless it's, as long as it's clear, would probably increase the photons. I don't know that it would block them. I don't know. Maybe it would, but I don't know. I haven't really heard about that. We've got solar panels in the Arctic, and they don't seem to have a problem up there. Maybe Texas needs to talk to the to the Eskimos and figure out what they're doing. So, yeah, I never heard of any issues before, but we can't verify that until we check it out. But good question.
Yeah, I don't know the science on that one. And look, when you're in a presentation, it's always good to not know everything. So you can actually tell them, say, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find it out. I always call what I call the parking lot. If you have a question I can't answer, I'm going to put it in the parking lot, and we'll come back to it later. So I'm going to have to put that one in the parking lot.
Awesome. Back in the parking lot. So we got another question. Which battery do you prefer?
Well, we've used LG Chems a lot, and I like them because they're pretty safe. The 10, which is 9.3 kilowatts of capacity, works very well. You can actually mount it in the home, although I don't know if you'd really want to do that. On their website, it shows that. But the LG Chem seems to be a decently priced battery. It works well. But now the In-Phase In-Charge, which is the same price point, has a little higher capacity, has the ability to put in series. One of the things with the LG Chem is we only had the Res 10 to be able to use, and I understand that now the supply chain is tight on the LG Chems. We might not be able to get as many of those, now. So the In-Charge with the In-Phase is a battery I'm very excited about. I haven't sold them yet, but I've looked at them. They have a 20 kilowatt for people that really want to be energy independent. So I like that. And you can put them in a series of 2 different size batteries, which I think that's a nice feature to have. So I have sold the Tesla Powerwalls. They were one of the first, obviously, batteries to get on the market, but they weigh about 1,000 pounds. They're huge. They have had some issues with fires and things like that. I don't know that it's a major issue with them. But they're pretty expensive. They are very expensive, even though you saw that ad that said they were cheap. I've sold them. I know they're not cheap. So all the batteries really right now run in about the same price range, right? Because they're competitive. They want to sell their battery. And I just found that the LG Chem is fit very well. That's what I've mostly added. It goes well with the Solar Edge. I have now a lot of In-Phase microinverter projects, and the In-Phase works well with that. So I would say of those 2 would be the LG Chem or the In-Phase In-Charge are the 2 favorite batteries for me to sell.
So it depends.
It does. It depends, because if you're using microinverters that are In-Phase, it's nice to have that system. This is just my personal observation. It may or may not be accurate, but I've kind of looked at Solar Edge as the Apple product, and the In-Phase and the microinverters in that being kind of like the Microsoft product, right? The Solar Edge is kind of designed to work with all of the same equipment, just like Apple. Right. So you're going to use the same charger, the EV charger and the charging station, the hub. Whereas when you go with the microinverters, because of their coupling, you're able to use a lot of different alternatives. You're able to easily expand them. So, again, some people like the iPhone. I have an Android. So I don't feel bad about the people that have iPhones.
Well, this would be a perfect time for the next comment. Ray is a real solar expert.
Hey, cool.
But we got another question on here. So what are some of your best strategies for lead generation? I guess it doesn't have to be the best, but what you got?
Well, before COVID, we had a whole different strategy. A lot has changed, and we're getting back to some of that. But my strategy has been primarily through events. We do a broker workshop. I've worked with schools and churches where I come and do events with them. I have what's called a Evolution of Energy event where we invite them, anywhere from 5 to 15 couples, to come in and go through a podium presentation where we have a panel of experts to answer their questions. We have a display with the various different components of a solar system, different types of panels. And in order to RSVP, they have to send in a utility bill. So when they come to that event, we're able to talk about more than just solar. We're able to talk about the climate and the crisis and how solar is a solution, and answer those questions. And then we closed them at that event. So that was a very popular, very successful way for us to get large, sales at one time in one event. And then we had solar parties. What we would do is we found that, as many times as you can touch the customer is great. So for example, when they're having the install, we go do a nuisance knock. and we go knock the neighborhood to let them say, hey, look, we're not here to sell you anything. We just want to let you know that we're installing solar at your neighbor so-and-so down the street. And if our trucks are in the way, if there's some noise or whatever, here's a flyer with my number on it. You can give me a call, and we'll make sure that, we remove that. We don't want to be a nuisance. And oh, by the way, once they're installed and they've gotten their first post solar bill that shows that their electric bill has been eliminated, they're going to have an open house, and they're going to invite people down. We're going to have food, and you can come down and you can actually look at their solar panels, and we'll answer your questions. If you'd like to be invited, I'll let your neighbor know that. And then when it gets close to that, we'll make sure that you get an invitation. Would you like to be invited to that party? And that was our key way of working our lead generation, was through solar parties. We had an 80% close at our solar parties, and we were doing solar parties, pretty frequently, because we did them with every install. So, and we would get 8 to 10 sales or more in a solar party. And that also goes hand in hand with, everybody knows that referrals are the best lead that you can get. And everybody always says, ask for referrals, and, ask for referrals. And I have found in my years of the selling that if you just do a really great job for the people you're selling, you will never have to ask them for a referral. They're going to refer people to you anyway. So if you're having to ask for them, you didn't do something right.
They just should be giving them to you, huh? When do you ask for the referral? Is it after the installation is done, or do you wait?
Well, obviously we're gonna do the solar. Yeah, I don't do. Here's one of the reasons why I don't want to do it while they're going through the pipeline, because obviously we know issues can happen, change orders can happen, and I don't want them to have a bad experience and to be talking to their neighbor. I also know that we don't have any money from them until it's installed, so I don't want them going down there to talk to the guy that's got the Pepsi bottle and the copper wire and the hydrochloric acid trying to power the neighborhood. So I'm not going to really ask them. What I'm going to do is, when we come back for the install, I'm going to work the neighborhood with a nuisance knock. And I'm going to come back with them, and I'm going to give them referrals. I'm going to say, here are these people that I've talked to in your neighborhood that are interested in being invited to your solar party. Call them, talk to them, get a hold of them. Now, I've brought you referrals. So at this point, the next time I want to get some from them, I don't have a problem asking. So once they get a PTO, sometimes we'll send the energy advisor to go to just make sure that the system is turned on and operational. And at that time, we'll say, have you talked to anybody about solar? Every milestone gives us an opportunity. And then with every customer, we tell them that we are with them before, during, and after. So after they're installed and they get their first 1 or 2 post-solar bills, we're going to come back and do a bill review, so that we can make sure that they're going to maintain their efficiency. And then this is where I also am able to layer in the fact that if they use more electricity, they're going to have a bill, right? So this is the way I present that. I tell them, I said, we're going to come back, make sure that you maintain your efficiency, because there's an anomaly in solar where once people have solar, they think they got unlimited electricity, and they put their thermostat on 62 degrees in the summer. They leave all the lights on. They leave all the windows and doors open. Now, the reason why I make that such a ridiculous statement is because then they'll come back and defend their efficiency. They'll go, oh, no, we never put it on 62. We were always at 78. Oh, no, we never keep the lights on. We went LED. So now they're defending their efficiency instead of me trying to say, you got to be careful because you'll go over. And now I'm explaining to them why, they need to be careful with their electricity. And then I tell them, I said, I'm going to come back and we're going to make sure that this is working the way I said it did. And we're going to look at your bill. And I'm almost never, there's probably been a case I can't recall, but there's almost never any time that I didn't go back that it wasn't performing and they weren't thrilled. And here is an anomaly that I think everybody in solar can appreciate. When we're looking at selling and we're in the trenches selling it to them, they all are concerned about how much they're saving between what their bill was and what their solar payment is. And it's not enough. It's never enough. No matter what it is, it's not enough. But after they go solar, they never mention the solar payment to their friends or their family ever again. They only talk about how they have no electric bill.
That's so
if
true.
you ask them how much it is, they go, oh, I only had $10. They never again bring up the payment. It's crazy. They never even think about it anymore.
It's so true, 100%. Even in the
It is
Facebook groups,
crazy.
and how much do you pay? I take $10 a month.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. That's right. And so when we go back for that bill review, then that's a time when, again, all we have to do is say, hey, have you talked to people about your solar? Have you shown them this? Of course, if we're doing the solar party, then we're going to have those friends that are invited there. One of the last solar parties we did, we had 11 couples in attendance. 8 people that were in attendance went solar, and then 2 people that weren't there went solar later, because they weren't able to make the party, but they talked to the people that went solar. So we basically got 10 out of 11 people that we talked to from a solar party. So, this is the reason why solar parties are so valuable. The 3 things that keep people from wanting to consider solar is, you already asked it in the beginning, they think it's too expensive. They don't see how they can do it without putting any money up front, and they're not sure it's going to offset their electricity. So if you're at your family, your friend, your coworker, your neighbor's house, and they go, here's my bill. And how much did it cost you? I didn't have to give them any money. What do you mean? I didn't give them any money. They installed it. We started. This is my bill. This is what I'm paying. This is my electric bill. And they go, how can we do that? You've eliminated those things that keep them from exploring solar.
You have no idea how many gold nuggets you just dropped. Like, that's some incredible lead generation information. Guys, this is stuff that people pay lots of money for to get. This is incredible information, guys. So, and we got some people on here agree. Ray is the event master. And then we have somebody actually get their name showed. Christopher York said, incredible. He's loving what you're saying about that. So speaking of Christopher York, he has a question for you. How do you price condition? Do you use another person of authority?
So I assume he's talking about how we get them to go with the price at the end, and where they normally call somebody else in and do that. Well, one of the things that we present to people is we don't do that. We don't have gimmicks. The price is the price. We're not going to play games with it. And the reason why that works for us is because I have a system which is based on the 4 pillars of our sales process. The first pillar is the pillar of trust. They have to trust me in order to accept my recommendation and believe that my company is somebody that they would feel confident in doing business with. Second, once I built that trust, because until you build that trust, you can't move forward. Second is I have to create the need. That's the beating up the bill. That's showing them what they're paying, showing the uncertainty of the utility bill. Because the reason why people don't move forward is because the utility bill is something that they feel is certain. They're going to get it every month. They don't have to think about it. They just pay it. The solar is uncertain. They're not sure how it works, how it's going to perform. So what I want to do is build through that how their bill is what is uncertain. They don't even know if it's right. They can't tell. They can't dispute it. They just have to pay it. It has all these different fees. The utility company manipulates the billing cycle. So that's the uncertainty. So once I've created that need and they understand what the cost of electricity actually is to them, the next thing I'm going to move into the solution, and I'm going to show them why I have the solution, why solar works, how it's going to offset that. So by the time we get to the proposal, instead of starting with the quote like many people do, the quote for us is like the Christmas package underneath the tree. We're just going to unwrap it. So when we get to the proposal, it's like, here it is. This is the size. This is what it looks like. This is what it does. And then I ask them, I said, does this represent what we discussed? Yep. Okay. Does this save you money? Yep. And then my next question is, so if you don't have any other questions, the next step is to submit your application and see if we can get you approved. And then I shut up. If they don't answer, I send them the credit check. If they ask me a question, then I'm not gonna sell anymore, but I'm gonna give them a short answer. Like, well, how do those microinverters work again? Well, remember they're under the panel and they isolate the shading so that way it gives you higher production. So if you don't have any more questions, then the next step is just to submit your application and see if we can get you approved. And eventually they don't have any more questions and I submit their application, I get them approved. So I don't have to have any price gimmicks. I don't have to drop anything, because here is the nugget you've been looking for. Okay.
Here we go. Gold nugget dropping.
All right. When you really, 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 really want something, when do you want it?
Right now.
So all you have to do is make them want it. If you're having all those gimmicks, it's because you haven't made them want it. Now I'm going to tell you the best nugget of all. I'm going to share the most important thing that I ever learned in sales. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready.
So I was 25 years old, starting in timeshare at the time. Vacation ownership was land. And my sales manager was 18 years old. I was 25. I'd already been in intelligence in the Navy for 6 years almost. I had been at 6 years that got out. I had 3 kids already. I had a family. So, even though I was 25, I thought, what is this 18-year-old got to, tell me? He's my manager, right? So I'm sitting in his house the night before I'm going to go on the sales line. And we're sitting at his coffee table, and there's a lot of people. They always hung out at his house, and there's a lot of people around. And he says, I'm going to teach you the most important thing you're ever going to learn in sales. And so he pulled out a wad of $100 bills. He peeled off 5 $100 bills. He set them down on the coffee table. He shoved it over to me. He looked around, and he goes, quick, put it in your pocket before somebody sees. And I said, no. He goes, what do you mean, no? Put it in your pocket quick before somebody sees. I'm like, no. He goes, why not? And I said, because I don't know what you expect. I don't know what you want for $500. I don't really know you. And he goes, this is the most important thing you're ever going to learn in sales. You cannot make people take a good deal. I'm trying to give you $500 and you won't take it. You have to make them take it from you. You have to dangle it in front of them. You have to make it look good. You have to make them want it, and they will reach out and take it. And you'll never have to worry about dropping the price or calling somebody else in or adding something that lessens the value of your proposition. It was the most important thing I've ever learned in sales. And now I share it with you.
That's beautiful. And that's such a helpful psychological point. And that's the biggest part. It's psychological when you really look at it. Do you have a few more minutes? I know you're super busy, Ray. Do you have a few more minutes?
I think all my EAs are probably glad that I'm not calling them right now. So.
Okay. So everybody's happy then. Just as you can answer this one quick, you kind of answered it already before. But Ray, if you were to install a solar system battery on your house, what would it look like?
I'm not sure I understand what would it look like.
Well, what favorite panel, what favorite battery, pretty much?
Oh, well, I really like the Recom right now alphas. They're 21% efficient. They have a 92% guarantee at 25 years minimal degradation. So those are really nice panels. They're sleek. I like the Solarius. The Solarius are really nice. They have a nice, I mean, there's so many to choose from right now. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I live in a townhome and I don't own the roof. So I don't have that choice to go solar. So what I've decided to do is help as many other people go solar as I can. But if I had it, I would use whatever panels made sense for me. I like the hand wash. I've sold a lot of the hand wash. Those are a good value panel. They have a good efficiency for them. They work well. So I would probably have that. As far as the battery, I mentioned that I was very familiar with the LG Chem, and that was my battery of choice. But I really am, liking what I'm reading about the InCharge. And I really think that battery is going to be the way forward. I attended a lecture online from Cornell University last year, and they were talking about storage and the utility companies and the oil companies. And it was really interesting to see what they are considering behind the scenes. Already they're considering having the oil rigs, the oil platforms at sea converted to wind machines. They're already discussing having molten sodium used for storage at the refineries to store electricity at the refinery instead of storing oil. So all of those fossil fuel companies are already looking at the future. They're just trying to delay the future long enough for them to be the ones that control it. But I see battery storage as very important, especially after what's just happened in Texas. And I think that's where all of the research and development is going into. I think the capacities are going to increase. I think the prices are going to come down. And as that happens, because there's only so much you can do with solar panels. They went from 15% efficiency in the 1950s to 21% now. That's really not a whole lot of change. in that period of time. It's not like an iPhone that changes every 4 months. But it definitely, I think that storage is going to be the thing so that people can be independent, so they can avoid this time of use charges that the utility companies are coming with. But, I think that's what we're going to be selling in the next this year. I think that we're really going to be focusing on putting storage on all of the systems. In fact, when I talk to people today about getting a solar system, I tell them, you're behind the times. Most of the people now are talking about batteries. They've already got their solar. They've saved their money. You're behind. You need to catch up. So you may as well get it all at one time.
You got a lot of people
yet.
You got a lot of people.
In 2035, they're all going to be EVs. We won't have a combustion engine anymore being manufactured.
Yeah, literally, it's going to be a completely different world on the roads for sure. And you got a lot of people laughing out there. You are funny, Ray. Thanks for the laugh. And yes, we need to heal Mother Earth so we can all survive.
Yeah, I see somebody said the best U.S. made panel. I guess the Canadian solar, even though because they have factories up in Oregon and Washington up there. So those sill fabs, I think, is something that's made in the U.S. now. And then Hanwha, of course, opened their assembly plant manufacturing in Dalton, Georgia. So even though they're German engineered and a Korean company owns them, they are actually manufactured in Dalton, Georgia, or many of them are. I mean, you can get into the dispute of how many are made there and how many are not. I'll go back to one little story back in the day. I knew a friend that did textiles. He imported textiles. And he told me, he goes, do you know what they do with Levi jeans? And I'm like, no, what? He goes, they're made overseas, right? And then they ship them here and they go to Tennessee where they sew on the label that says made in America. So the only thing that's made in America.
The label.
And he goes, and the label costs more than the jeans. So, when it comes down to wanting the raw resources.
That's crazy.
Well, when it comes to wanting the raw resources of the lithium or for the chemicals and doping the wafers and creating the cells, those companies in those countries, that is their manufacturing, that's their economy. And they're not interested in shipping the raw materials to the United States so that we can manufacture. They want to manufacture stuff so that they have something to sell from their country. Now, we could do what we've done, for example, in Africa, where we just go take their resources. But, we're in an economy today where probably it's better just to buy them. And instead of just going and killing people and taking the stuff. So, I'm all about, America, but you know what? If we sell the solar panels that were made somewhere else here in America, somebody's got a job, somebody's making money off of the solar system, somebody's installing it, somebody's creating a lead. It's a global economy, and we have to understand that this is the world we live in. It's global, and we need to command, like we did before. We do need to command the global markets. I mean, China is taking off on the production of solar and taking the lead in renewable energy. And that's a country that just a decade ago we were looking at and couldn't see them through the fog of the coal. So if we're gonna be the leader and we're gonna own manufacturing, we're going to own it, then we gotta do that. We gotta just take it over. But if you got a company that comes from South Korea and opens up a plant in Dalton, Georgia to manufacture plants, I'm okay with that.
I got a great comment here. Sell solar, eat tacos.
I love it. Mexican food is my favorite.
Ray has a wealth of knowledge and he's amazing. Tons of gold. I love the closing. Ray's a great storyteller. This is good stuff. And Christopher York again, really quality stuff. This really appreciated me. Big thanks to Joe and Ray. True quality. And yeah, Moore's Law versus Swanson's Law. All right. So last thing is I want to kind of, I know we talked a little bit beforehand, and we were talking about your community outreach and the programs you're doing out there. Just before we leave, can you just touch a little bit on that?
Yeah. So any opportunity that I find to be able to talk to people about solar, which is what I call solar awareness, is beneficial because we're in an immature market in Florida. So it's important to really get the accurate information out there. But it's true everywhere. So it doesn't matter if it's Florida or a mature market like California, it's still about getting the information. So I have partnered with, for example, a couple of youth soccer leagues where we set up a kiosk, and then as people came to the games, they could get information, register for, a gift, or register for, a solar discovery call. We always start it with the call, and then we set the appointment after we get the utility bill. But we would go and do that. And then if they went solar, we would give that solar rewards to that soccer club. So we were able to help the youth soccer team raise funds by doing fundraising, by helping us be at their games and sell solar. With the real estate brokers, a lot of people in this industry think that the way to get a real estate broker, to utilize them, is to go out and get their leads or get them to refer people to you. So here's the thing about real estate agents, having been one as well, is they're selling a house. They don't really care about selling solar. So they don't want to learn how to sell something else, number one. Number two is they can't give you their customers, because if they did, that's personal information from their broker that they would be in trouble. They'd probably lose their job for giving it to you. So what I did find out is most realtors don't really know enough about solar. The lenders, the mortgage lenders, the realtors.
So true. Preach, man, preach.
So how do you handle that? I put together a broker's program where I go teach them what their own affiliation, their own organization, the National Association of Realtors, says is the Code of Ethics, Chapter 11 or Article 11, says that they should not attempt to sell anything that's outside of their competency. So I'm going to make them competent. So when I go to these brokers meetings, what I'm doing is not telling them how to sell solar or send me customers. I'm going to show them how to sell homes that are solar homes. And I explained to them that National Association of Realtors report said that 85% of realtors that responded to a survey said that they have solar in their market. So I'm talking to these realtors and I tell them, I'm going to tell you right now, 100% of you have solar in your market because I've been selling it here for 10 years. And so has everybody else. And people who have solar homes are going to want to sell them. They sell for 15% more. That's just the data. Those are the facts. They sell 3 times faster. Now, I always ask them, who's on commission? And they all raise their hand. I said, so if you can sell a home 3 times faster and for 15% more, don't you want to be the realtor that lists that property? Yeah, okay, well, let me share with you what the value of solar is. And I'll share this with you because even the realtors are still having a hard time getting this. But there are really 3 ways to evaluate solar. The first way is comparable value, which, one house sells for this, one house without solar, one house with solar. And that's been mostly how they've done in real estate compared. And that's not fair because in different markets, you don't have solar to compare. Like here in Florida, you might not have a house in the neighborhood that has solar. So how do you do a comparable value? So then they started coming up with the offset of electricity. Well, if you're offsetting an $800 bill with a $200 solar payment in California, that offset is going to show a lot better than in Florida, where the solar system costs exactly the same amount of money, but you're only offsetting $40. So does that mean it has less value? No. So what the real value of solar is its replacement cost. That's what it should be, because the cost to put a solar system on any house anywhere in the country is going to be the same. So if you compare what the replacement cost, what it would cost for you to put that solar in your house, now you have a real valuation. So the best approach is to use all 3 to do comparable value, to do offset because the buyer is going to be interested in the offset electricity. They're going to know how much it's going to save me. But the seller is interested in those other features. What's the comparable value? What's the replacement cost? And if you get mortgage lenders to understand that, you get the realtors to understand it, and the brokers and the appraisers to understand that, then what that's going to do is build that value in. It's going to bake it in. And that's when you're going to find that the real value is accepted, because then banks, the reason why we have all these solar lenders is because banks don't see the value in this thing that they can't resell. There's nothing they can do with the solar system. They took it off of your roof. And that's why we have these dealers fees that are crazy that we have to pay, is because it is personal property. It's a unsecured loan basically. So once though a lender and banking industry starts seeing that the real value of that solar system is its replacement value as well as its offset of energy, the banks are going to feel more comfortable about the fact that this isn't technology, this isn't a TV, this is a solar home improvement. And that's what I think we should adopt throughout this industry, is stop calling it a solar system, because then people think of it like a TV. Then they think they can get any size they want, and they think it's just some technology that they're putting on their roof, like a satellite dish to get cable. But when we get them to understand that this is a solar home improvement, now it's a real understanding that it has a value as an asset to that home and to that value. And so that's what I do. I go out and educate the realtors on that. And I'm not trying to sell them anything or get leads. But what happens is at the end of every one of those workshops, there's always 3, 4, 5 people that come up to me and say, that really makes sense. We wonder, how can we go solar? How we'd like to look into it and see how much it is. I get sales from them because most brokers have a 650 credit score and they own a house.
Well, yeah, man, that is great. And on behalf of all the solar pros out there, thank you for this effort, because there's so much work to be done and you're definitely paving the way. So if anybody wants to be part of that group or help you at all, how can they not reach out to you, but just about the group and stuff?
Yeah, ray.satterfield@greenfuturesenergy.com. I've only got 7,000 emails ahead of you, but I'll get down to it.
He'll get there eventually. One more question. I promise I'll let you go. Thank you so much for your time, Ray. But just, this is for, newer people to solar and the solar industry. Any advice for sales pros starting out in the solar industry? And that would be the last question. So we can go ahead.
Yeah. The biggest thing is that, it doesn't really matter the panel, doesn't really matter the battery, doesn't really matter the company. What really matters is you. The people aren't buying all of that other stuff because you're the only person they see. They're buying what they hear from you. So be real, be honest. Don't sacrifice integrity for money, because then you'll be chasing money forever. If you just chase the right things, then the money will come. And sell yourself. Be you. People buy you. You are the ingredient that step down off of the billboard to shake their hand. And you're going to be the person they hold accountable when the installer messes up. So make sure they don't. But it's you, man. That's it. That's the most important thing. Just be you, sell you, and be honest, and go out there and be part of this new world that we're in, this new transition of energy. It's very exciting. It's just like the Industrial Revolution. We're in the technological revolution. It is a change in our lifetime. And one last thing I'll tell you is tomorrow will only happen once in your lifetime. So make it worth it.
I like that. A couple more comments before we go. Christopher York. Hey, Ray, Ray can do attitude is unreal. Great to see. I'm not going to say solar systems anymore. I think this commenter agrees. Solar home improvement is the way to go. Once it becomes attached to the property, it becomes part of the real property.
Absolutely.
And the last comment is from Randy Hinman. One word: awesome.
Cool. It's great to have been on here, man. I really love being part of this solar family, man. We got the sun, and we only got 5 billion years left. So
actually, another comment came in. Top interview so far. Man.
I've seen the other people on here, so I really take that as that's a tremendous honor. That's a great thing to hear. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, integrity is happiness. So again, Ray, man, you've been amazing, awesome. I loved having you on. I really appreciate you. It's so much gold nuggets, so much training information, so much free information. So that was really, really great. Actually, do you want to, leave out any way people can reach out to you if they want to get in touch? I know you said your email, but is there a Facebook or anything else you want to?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Ray Satterfield. You can find me there. You just look up Ray Satterfield. You'll find me. I'm in Orlando, Florida. I have a group on there, Green Futures. So I'm on LinkedIn, so you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter, so you can find me there. I'm in all those other places. I'm not sure about TikTok yet. I've watched that a few times and I got in trouble because I started seeing all the wrong things. And then I explained to my daughter, I said, man, I think it should be called Butt Talk instead of TikTok. And she goes, you realize that you only see what you like, right? Okay. Well, I better start watching more videos on music then.
Well, have your grandkid help you with that because he's become the solar expert at what, 5 years old?
Yeah, he's 7 now, but Julian, when he was 5, he's on my website, greenfuturesenergy.com. And he's on my website. If you go down to projects, you'll see his picture. And he wanted to help. He says, how can I help, Grandpa? I want to help you. He'd see me working all the time, and I said, well, we'll do a video. And then I thought he'd forget about it. But he came back a week later. He says, are we ready to do the video? I said, yes, sir. So I got my phone. And I figured I was going to have to, film, a whole bunch of stuff and then edit it, and so it makes sense. But I didn't change anything. I didn't prompt him. And if you watch it, it's hilarious. It's about 2 minutes long. And I asked him, so what do you know about solar panels? He goes, they make electricity. And I'm like, yes, they do. I said, do you think that's important? He goes, yeah. And I said, why? He says, well, when there's a bad storm or a hurricane, electricity goes out and I can't watch my TV. I can't watch my TV. He goes, so I need solar panels so I have electricity. And I'm like, oh, that's really good. So you think they're good? He goes, yeah. He goes, they're good for the environment. He said, they're clean. And that's it, man. I mean, what more can you say, man? This is a 5-year-old. In fact, I think that I just ought to let him do all the presentations because a 5-year-old never hears the word no. Ever.
Like, I'll take whatever you have. Oh, you're so cute.
Never.
That's awesome, man. Thank you again so much, Ray. And keep laughing. Next week, we're going to have the one and only Bill Murphy on. Yes, the same Bill Murphy you're thinking of from Solar Cheat Code. He is going to be on next week. Really pumped up to have him on. Always a good time with him. But again, Ray, it's been amazing. If you guys liked what Ray had to say and his information, please like, comment, share, reach out to him, let him know. Thanks again, Ray. I really appreciate you. We definitely got to do this again, and we'll talk again, okay?
Thank you very much, Joe. You have a good one, man. Love being on with you.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Over and out.